This is For Your Info Podcast, a production of Solutions by Cat. Welcome to a breakfast series by Assests Lancaster, transforming communities through business. This August 2015 installment is Opportunity For All. Thanks to our sponsors, ERX Contracting and Solutions by Cat, marketing and advertising with passion. Enjoy the program.
So pleased to be having this conversation. I'm Jessica King. I'm the Executive Director of Assests Lancaster. We reside here, at least during the day, at Southern Market. Our office is just across the lobby. And for those of you that don't know that much about us, we're an organization with about 25-year history where our mission is around economic development and poverty alleviation by supporting entrepreneurship and supporting people who are underrepresented in our economy to have success in business. So we do this through training. We have a credit building microloan program that we work with clients in lending circles so they build peer support and guarantee one another's loans and help build their credit over time. We do a women's leadership circle that's facilitated by Angelica Arroyo, who's going to be facilitating this morning's panel. We do a social enterprise accelerator, which right now, you can find out more about this, is in its crowdfunding campaign. And we have one of our groups. Do we have more of our groups? I see Revolution is represented. We broke our fundraising record in the first 12 hours. They reached their crowdfunding goal. And just a word about how cool their enterprise is. They're working with women at Water Street who are working towards a home and finding their way back home and starting an enterprise that's working with them to teach soft skills and just around employment preparation and making a line of jewelry that you can buy. And so Jocelyn has some that she's wearing and can tell you more about where to find that. So just a great example of one of the social enterprises that's in that social enterprise pitch. So if you go to lancasterpitch.com or pick up some information up on this front table, you can see all 8 ideas that are in that crowdfunding phase. And it's just a really encouraging thing to see what kind of creative ideas, creative entrepreneurial ideas there are right now in Lancaster around using business for good. And then one other piece that we do with social enterprise is an impact investing fund toward financing companies that are creating jobs for people who pay living wage and really intentionally hiring people with barriers to employment. So this whole space of using business as a tool for good is where we live and exist. And this whole breakfast series is built on the premise of the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies, BALI, and their 8 principles for using business as a tool for good, as a tool for transformation. On your tables, you can see a resource sheet. This topic is around opportunity for all, and I'll get into that in a second. But resources that you can check into, and there's a version of this on our website at assetslancaster.org with all the live links, so you can kind of browse through. This is just kind of listing it without the links listed. So good resources if you want to follow up, and I think we'll learn a lot too from our panelists today. Just a few words before we get going. This morning will be audio and video recorded by these lovely folks. So thank you for being here. And if that's an issue for anyone, just see them after the breakfast. Just needed to make sure that we put that out there. There have been people who can't come to this hour of event, and so we want to make sure that this conversation can be available for those who are interested in further conversation. This idea of opportunity for all, and this is in Bali's words, is to determinedly invest for opportunity in communities that have been historically oppressed, to align labor, anchor institutions, and independent businesses around shared prosperity. I think that's beautiful. And I think there's an underlying assumption here that the language that we're using is recognizing that racism and inequality are rooted in systems, that there are systems level historical pieces of our story that are very much a part of why we have such inequality and why that inequality is so based on race. If you want to learn more about that, if that's sort of a new concept to you, some great resources in the room, including Lancaster Theological Seminary and the YWCA do excellent training around anti-racism and just looking at systems level work on this. So learn more if you don't know more. I really encourage you to. It's been a real wake up to me too about what it means to be a white person in this context and in this conversation. I encourage you to just dive in and have that conversation. There are great resources and great support to that work. Our goals for this morning are really to see opportunity in a new light and to listen for new potential solutions or pathways. Listen, we're going to have opportunity to talk with the panel and then opportunity at our table groups to talk as well. So listen, and then we'll have some time to bring back those ideas to the group about what we think some opportunities are specifically in Lancaster. The agenda, I want to start with just a little bit of data about this in Lancaster. We'll go to the panel, we'll have a table discussion, and then report back, and we'll be out of here by 9 o'clock. So it's a brief conversation, it's just scratching the surface, but it's awesome nonetheless. So this data, there is a forthcoming study from Franklin and Marshall College that's just looking at 30, 40-year census data in Lancaster City and Lancaster County. They'll be releasing that in the next couple weeks. And I wanted to just lay this out there as to why do we think this is a big idea, a big issue. And I think these charts sort of say it in its own right. So this is a chart showing, you can't see this, the index on the side, but essentially the blue is the level of household income below the poverty level for a household of 4. Across the bottom, it starts in 1969, 1979, 1989, 1999, and present. And so you can just see the shrinking middle class. The red is 2 times poverty level, which is another indicator of economic distress. Green is sort of middle class. It's between 2 times and 4 times the poverty level, and purple is greater than 4 times the poverty level. So you can just see, this is in Lancaster City income distribution. Lancaster City, the middle class has just gotten increasingly squeezed, and lower income has really grown. This is also for adjusted income, per capita income, city versus county. So city is the blue line, county is the orange line, and you can see across the board, income has just gone down from 1999 to present. This is adjusted, inflation adjusted. So everybody's sort of going down, which is pretty terrible. Lancaster County, median household income based on race. So this to me is, I think, part of what frames this conversation about how much inequality in this community is based on race. And so if you look at the white line, you can see, it stops at about 58,000 for median household income. And down here, blacks and Latinos are essentially at the same level, about 32,000 household income. So, more than a $20,000 difference in income, almost $30,000. That's significant. Poverty rates, also city versus county. County is the orange line, city is the blue line. We weren't always so poor. And you'll see from 1969 where the line starts to where we are today. 31% in the city, 8.6 in the county. A third of the city is under the poverty line. This is unemployment rates based on, I'll just go down from the top. The green line is the black unemployment rate. Purple is, and that's city black unemployment rate. Purple is the city Latino unemployment rate. Lancaster City average is the black line in the middle. The city white unemployment rate is 10% in the red line. And the Lancaster County average is down below, and that's, right around 5-6%. And this is what it looks like geographically. This is a map of Lancaster City, and it's sort of a heat map of poverty rates. So you can see what the poverty rate is. If it's a dark green, it's a single digit. A light green is sort of in the teens. Yellow gets into the 20s. And then the orange and the red, 40, 50, 60, 70% poverty rates. So concentrated, isolated poverty. Just to see this really struck me in a very real way. I think we know this. I live in the city. I think a lot of us do. We know how isolated poverty is or how concentrated it is. But just to look at this and to think about what does that mean for our community and what is our responsibility in our community with this reality. Really interesting, and this is one of the last things that I'm going to say. I started reading this book. It's called Our Black Year by Maggie Anderson. And it's one family's quest to buy only from black-owned businesses over the course of a year. Really awesome. We have a second copy of it in the office. But she talks about the multiplier effect, and if you're familiar with economics, that's the idea of when $1 is spent in a community, how does it flow kind of after it's spent? Does it go to another, you know, if you buy from one business, do they buy their supplies from another business locally, or do they buy it from, you know, somebody that's based with national headquarters, and so that profit flows out of the community? It's a real reflection on ownership and where ownership resides in a particular community. This is just fascinating. So she tracked, or cited at any rate, the time a dollar circulates in a particular community before it leaves. In an Asian American community, it circulates for about 30 days. In a Jewish community, about 20 days. In a white community, predominantly Anglo-Saxon white community, 17 days. In a black community, 6 hours. This speaks to ownership. This is about ownership. This is about the social capital and the social equity and ownership where money circulates. So think about that. And I think, again, this is crazy motivating for us at Assests, and so our whole goal is about how do we support business owners who are underrepresented in the economy. Like, this is key. So affluence is connected to ownership. It's big. So I think that's the last thing I'll say as part of my soapbox. Glad to engage in conversation over the course of this breakfast. I think during our panel, Angelique, you know, if there's opportunity for questions from the audience, we can have that, but then there'll also be table conversations and reporting back. So there'll be great opportunity for interaction with the panel and with each other. Invite you to that. This is an informal, engaging, and exciting conversation for us to have. So I'm thrilled that, the importance of business ownership. Thrilled that we have this beautiful panel of women speaking to us this morning. Angelique Arroyo is the owner of Passionate Wise Woman. She has worked with us at Assests for 2 years, probably at least, facilitating our Women's Leadership Circle, and she does a lot of training with the YWCA and anti-racism work.
Good morning.
Good morning, Angelique.
Y'all, I really don't like the morning. I just think it's wrong. Can I just go there right now? Let's just establish that right now as a relational piece. I'm not a morning person, but I'm here. I'm awake. I'm present, so we're going to be fine. I would love to start with an icebreaker to kind of give us a little bit of a perspective on what some of this journey and conversation can actually look like and feel like. So what I'm going to ask, the name of this icebreaker is called Silent Lines, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it because it's going to require you not to say a word. It's the best thing. So that's the one rule. Can't say anything, it's silent. So what I'm going to ask is that everybody quietly, no talking, and you understand, some of y'all who use a lot of hand and face motions, I'm not projecting, but you can't like work too hard at that and whisper little words. I'm just gonna let you know then that would be wrong. So let's establish that. So you gotta quietly engage in this particular process. So what I would love to do is for everybody to line up. We're going to use the wall space from shortest to tallest. Y'all don't get so excited. Why don't we start at this wall over here where everybody's congregating? Great question. And then maybe we could just kind of move down around the back and come up this side, shortest to tallest, without saying a word. No words. Very silent. Great job. And now, would love you to line up based on age, from youngest to oldest. No words, no chatting, no whispering. Y'all can't be breaking the rules. No talking. Andres. Great job. I want to say there's probably a little bit of like, just a quasi bit of like cheating. Okay? So y'all, when you're doing this, I get you can't talk, but if you're a parent, you recognize that I was cheating. Okay? I want you to look around the room. I want you to take one strong, deep breath. What worked?
Collaboration.
Collaboration? How so?
Well, working with each other to try to figure out the answers. You can't do it yourself. You need other people. As you're part of a group, you need everyone else to figure out the answers.
A little bit of cheating.
That's just wrong.
Height was easy and pretty clear cut. Age is not. So you had to make judgments. And that was hard to see where you fit in. Assumptions.
Motivation to want to get the task done. The whole thing when I wanted to, okay, she said line up against the wall without talking. As you see, that was difficult for me, but we got against the wall. It was a cheat.
A little bit of compassion, especially on the age thing. I'll just put that out there. Somebody kept waving me down this way.
I got kicked out of over there.
As an observer, it was interesting to see everyone's self-view. Like, I'm taller, I'm shorter, I'm younger, I'm older. It was interesting to see everyone trying to figure themselves out.
Somebody else had it.
Listen and follow directions.
It almost seemed simple until folks started doing it.
It's coming over in the corner.
And I don't even want to know who was trying to like fudge the numbers up a little bit. They were like, what didn't work? What didn't work?
With the age, appearance isn't everything. It's appearance.
I have to confess, I verbally communicated right off the bat instead of nonverbal.
I'm just going to say we were sitting at the same table.
I'm here to learn.
We'll journey together today. We'll journey together. Anybody else? What did it work?
Even if the two people you were looking at were willing to make space for you, you couldn't get the ends to move so that they could make space for you.
I know y'all so awesome. Y'all getting it. What else didn't work?
Standing still. When it said the age thing, some of us, again, well, I'm just going to stand right here and not going to know it's they were like,
Right on.
standing still.
Anything else?
Our personal space, like, I think people are more uncomfortable with personal space.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it worked or didn't work. I mean, I guess that meant that we had to spread out more instead of like actually trying to fit in.
Did the personal space work for you?
It did, but, you know.
I guess it was overcrowded because you did point to the wall, that wall. So line up against the wall, but there were way too many of us to fit in that space.
For the first one, it was never so easy to be in a wheelchair.
vote worked, it didn't work. Because he didn't know if somebody was saying 43 or 34. You know, so. And I wonder if that was working for their benefit. Some folk, that's a hard pill to swallow. Anything else? Yes.
Willingness to learn. We were having an argument until he got out his driver's license.
So you pulled the card, huh? Okay. All right, great. How could the group have worked together better? Sure. Mm-hmm.
It just had a card with your age on it.
A card with your age. Okay. I almost
Or
feel
your birth year, I guess.
possibly. I almost feel like the 30s would have been heavily packed somewhere with some of this signaling that was going on. What else?
In the height one, I think rather than going right to the wall, we could have sort of had a moment as a group, and because I think we didn't know where the short end and the tall end would be, so that was a moment we could have sort of decided and then spread out rather than going straight to the wall.
For the height one, the lesson was, we women wear heels.
You know, Dawn, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe the next time. Maybe the next time. Anything else? Did everyone feel listened to? Although there weren't words happening.
Since I was a motion indicator, I would say it took a lot to get people to actually realize how much space we needed, even though we were all grouped over there. We really had to move, and it was hard to get people to move.
I think another thing that I noticed is that for those that are like natural leaders, it was hard for them to take instruction when it was like, yeah, go that way, and they're like, you're looking at them and they're looking at you like, it was kind of harder to see that.
Did everyone feel involved? Raise your hand if you felt involved. Raise your hand if you didn't feel involved. Madison's like, I was just shoved.
I was just moving down.
I was just told to move. The power of the exercise is in recognizing that in our community and in our society, these very silent things, as who does this? I'm going to recognize you by your bracelet, actually, that sound. The little thing. Right? Who self-selects? Like the assumptions? They can be so dangerous. So dangerous. Where you see yourself, how others perceive you, height. Y'all, if some of y'all take off your high heels, I'm gonna look this way. There's so much to be told. There's so much to learn from one another. But if we can't even have a conversation to get deep, to get to know each other, we're kind of shoving each other down the line, sticking people where we think, some people resisting entirely any place in the wall. Some will self-select where they believe they should be and what that looks like. So what I would like you to do, I think the exercise speaks for itself. And silence is killing us. So I'd like you to take one more deep breath. And then you can find your way to your tables. Thank you. And you can talk now.
Thanks for joining us in Opportunity For All by Assests Lancaster. Thanks to our sponsors, ERX Contracting and Solutions by Cat, marketing and advertising with passion. This has been For Your Info Podcast.